Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ClaritySoft's training webinar. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2019. I'm Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at ClaritySoft, and our topic for today is on workflow automation within your database. And that will include creating action plans and what we formerly called business rules and now call workflow automation. So I'll probably flip between those two terms throughout the webinar today. So we're going to learn some techniques to help automate your database and the processes in your database so that you're not doing repetitive processes over and over again within the database. And this helps to make it flow more easily, makes it easier for your people. And you can define multiple action plans that can be applied in different places within the database, and you can define multiple business rules within the database. So what we're going to do today is learn how to create an action plan, save it, and apply it to records. And then we'll create a couple of business rules and how to apply those. Business rules basically are triggered by a change in a field in a record, so that when you save the record after making the change to this particular field, an activity is triggered, an email is sent, or now new to this, you can have an action plan applied. So we have a couple of new things since the last webinar that I did on this, so we will incorporate those today. All right, so we're going to get started. As I'm working in the database, there is a Q&A panel. If you have some questions, type your questions in the Q&A panel, and then I will try to get to them before the end of the session. All right, the first thing that we're going to do today is work in the leads module, and we're going to create an action plan that can be applied to new leads that have come into your database. Some of you might be having leads come in from your website, and they come into your ClaritySoft database, and then you want people to begin to follow up with those leads. Others of you might be importing the new leads from a trade show or convention that you've attended. So whatever way they come in, you can then apply this action plan that you're going to create that would apply multiple follow-up activities to be done with those new leads. So I have my leads module here, and I have created a filter here already for new leads today that you can create using the advanced search, and then go to the time filter and say creation date is this one day, and then you will find everything that was created today. So I have new leads here. And what I will do once I create my action plan is select these new leads and then apply my action plan. So our next step is to go and create the action plan. Action plans are under settings. So the first thing is you need to have admin rights in your ClaritySoft database. And the second thing is you need to have the functionality of the workflow automation and action plans actually turned on in your database, which you may not have. If you do not see these things here, then you would need to talk to your account rep, and that functionality would need to be added to your database. All right, so I'm going to go to action plans. And you can see here I have a list of action plans, so you can create multiple action plans that can be applied throughout the database. You can apply an action plan to lead records, contact records, opportunity records, and project records if you're using the projects module. So they can be applied in those different modules. I want to add a new one. And you give your action plan a name. So I'm just going to give it a different name, new leads today, follow up. And you can put a description in for what it's supposed to be whatever you want to put there, or you don't have to put a description. Oops, I guess I need it to be shorter. Okay. Then when you're creating the action plan, you are putting in activities and you're telling the system, well, I want this activity completed within the first 3 to 5 days after the action plan starts. And the second activity I want completed within the next 7 to 9 days. You're not putting actual dates in, because what you want to do is say time span, so that ClaritySoft calculates the dates for you. And no matter when you apply the action plan, the dates will be calculated. And so this here is asking, well, do you want to include or exclude weekends in the count? So I'm saying don't include it, exclude the weekends. If you uncheck it, then it would include the weekends in the count. So you can choose what to do there. Enabled simply means that this action plan is active and enabled in the database. If you have an action plan that you're not really using anymore, for whatever reason, you can disable it, and then it will still stay in the database in case you want to come back to it and turn it back on again, but it won't show up in the drop-down list for the users to select from. Then I come down here and I want to add an activity. So this looks familiar. And we're going to do you again decide, well, what's the process you want people to follow? Maybe you're going to send an email out first. Maybe you want a phone call done first. Again, you decide what your steps are that you want dropped in here. So I'm just putting in an initial lead email. I could select email as the type, or I could select task as well. And then you can set your priority, medium, high, or low. And then here you get to choose, well, what user should be responsible for this? Well, the leads are coming in. You don't necessarily know who the user is going to be. So we have an option here to choose the record owner. This means that whoever the owner of the record, the lead record is, that person will be assigned the activities to complete. So this one gives you the capability to have it go to anyone where the owner, whoever the owner is. Then here's where you decide, well, when do you want it to start and when do you want it to be due? So typically what you'd want, as soon as a lead comes in, you'd want it done as soon as possible. So your start could be 0 days after the action plan is starting. And the due date would be within 1 or 2 days. So, if the action plan gets assigned today, then the activity is for today and it's due by tomorrow, okay? And then here you can have a reminder set to email the person a reminder at whatever time on the due date or the start date. Probably you want it on the start date. So you can have that set. And then here you get to select the category if you want to use this. This is that category field that's in the activity record. So if you want to choose something here, you may, optional. Then click Save. So I've added my first activity to my action plan. Then I want to add another activity. And you may add as many activities as you need. Some people that do onboarding of software types of things will have maybe 10 or 15 different activities. Some of you may only have a few. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So this one's going to be a call. And again, I'm going to assign it to the record owner. And this one, I want it to start within 2 days and be accomplished or due within 4. And I'm going to add a third activity. Also notice that I am trying to put some detail in my subject line, because when the user looks at the list of activities, they will know. I might even type lead in here so they know it's for a lead. And that way they will see and understand what they're supposed to do by looking at that subject line. So here I'm saying start 7 days out and it's due within 10. And I'm just not setting reminders so I don't end up getting all these reminders for things. All right, but you can see here it tells you the subject line, what activity type it is, to whom it's assigned, when it should start, and then if there is a reminder set. So once you've added all your activities, they will, you then need to save this. Now, one comment here, some of the people I work with, when they're assigning an action plan, they might have 10 or 15 different activities in that plan that don't necessarily have to go in a specific sequence. So if you do not put a start and a due date, like everything is 0, then what will happen is all of the activities will drop in the order in which you have them here, so that you can see them in an order, but you complete them as you complete them. So that's something. If you put the start and due dates in, or numbers, then they will go in that order. All right. So just in case you have a situation like that. All right. So once I've saved my plan, then I need to log out and log back in. And I can go to my leads. And just as a quick review, I know I already have this filter set, but let's say you don't remember how to do that. I'll go here to advanced search, and I'm going to go to my time filter tab, choose creation date, this one day. So I'm trying to find all my leads that are created today. Tomorrow will become today when we get there. So it just moves forward with you. And so that searches and finds everything that has a creation date of today. And then I can click here to save that view and say today's new leads, which I've already done. So I won't do it again. So then it gets added to the drop-down list. All right, so I'm here. I want to select all my leads that have come in because I want to apply the same activities to all 3 of the leads, which if I did this one at a time, I'd be applying 3 activities per lead, which would be 9 different activities I have to create, which is not exactly how you want to spend your day. So this makes it very easy. I choose the 3. I go to list actions, action plan. All the records marked as checked. Then I get to select my action plan, and the one that I want is, oh, now I forget which one I called it. New lead today follow-up, that's it. And you then have, by default, it's going to have today's date as the start date, but you can start your action plan on any day. So if you were approaching a holiday weekend or a holiday or something like that, you could start it the following Monday or Tuesday. So you just decide, I'm going to start it today because we're still in the beginning of the week. And notice here it has the 3 activities, what they are, and it's calculated the dates for me. So this is saying that this first one is starting today, which I told it 0, and tomorrow it's due. It has to be done within, 1 day. So that lead doesn't disappear. And then here, this is 2 days out, 7 days, 8 days out. So you can see how it calculates the dates for you. If I come up here and I change this and I say, well, I'm going to be easy on them and I'm not going to start this till the 12th. Notice it recalculates my dates. So this gives you a lot of power here with your action plan because you can have it start. Oops, I went backwards instead of forward. Then it'll just calculate the dates whenever you apply the plan. So that's why you want to sit down and think about what are the span of days of when I want it to start. And you can go out, 60 days, 90 days, however far out you want to go on your different activities for starting them. So I'm going to save this. And now, under Open Activities, there are my 3 activities with the dates. And under this one, they're all applied for each of the selected records. So again, you can see once the plan is created, for you to do this on a daily basis of pulling up your new leads that have come in, selecting them, applying the action plan, it's assigned to the right person. The activities, because it's assigned to the record owner, only a few minutes of your time to do that. So the other place they're going to show up for the users will be in their activities in the to-do. Now these are old ones, but if I go to tomorrow's activities, I should see them. Oh no, I guess I have some today. Hold on. I do have the ones for the 20th today. Where's the start date? There we go. There are the 3 new ones for today. All right. And then the other ones will be out in the future. So their activities are here, and each day in their to-do list, they just pop up. They know what they're supposed to do. And then just as a reminder to everybody, when you're in activities and you see an asterisk next to the name of a company and a contact, that means they are coming from the leads module, okay? So that allows you to differentiate whether this is a lead or an account record. All right, so there's an action plan to be applied, very quick and easy. Now let's go back to accounts. And one of the other ways that we can use an action plan, I'm just going to explain this one a little bit. You could have an action plan for a new customer, let's say, that comes on board. And your action plan, no, actually not an action plan, I'm sorry, a workflow automation, a workflow automation could be that it triggers for a new customer to send out a welcome email, okay? We also can apply, stepping back to the action plan, we can apply an action plan to a new customer for follow-up. And so we can do that. So what we can do here, again, I've created some filters ahead of time. Oops. And I want my prospects. So I'm looking at prospects, and now I'm going to go back to settings so I can show you what has been created. And in action plans, I have a new customer follow-up action plan. So this one's already set up, and I have a 1-week follow-up call. Okay, now these are assigned to a specific person. So what I would probably do is go in here and edit this to change it to just the record owner so it doesn't matter to whom I assign it. And you'll get a little message there, which is fine. The way you can use this assign to is perhaps in your business, you might have, when a new customer comes on board, certain documents that need to be sent out or processes that need to be completed, and each one needs to be completed by a specific person. So you can create your activities and assign them to the correct person so that person knows to do it. In this case, this is all going to be to whom the record belongs so that it's assigned to the right person, okay? So I've just switched those. So I have this one already set up, and again, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to log out and in. And let's say that I'm looking at my prospects here, and I've had 3 people come in today as new customers. So I'm just going to kind of go down here and randomly pick some people. So I'm going to say these guys, and these guys all came in today as new customers. So the first thing I want to do is change their status to a customer. So I'm selecting them. I'm going to go to List Actions, Group Edit, all selected records marked as checked, and then I'm going to go to the account type here. Where are we? Must be up here. Whoops. Type. And I want customer as the option. Apply, and it will update those 3 selected records to customer. Now, the thing that's going to happen is all 3 of those records disappear from this list. That's because the filter is looking for a type of prospect. Well, they don't fit that anymore. So I need to go find them, and I've already set up another filter for customers, and I should be able to find them here. Now, I'm going to do this because this is sometimes people don't know how or why you would use this, but this will be a perfect example of using the last edit date, because I need to know when the record was last edited so I can pull up the 3 records. There we go. Now they should all be here. Ooh, that's interesting. Actually not. The group edit doesn't work on that. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just pretend because I don't remember what 3 I picked. So we're just going to pick a few more. So we have some customers here, and our goal here is to apply an action plan. So we're going to pick, let's see, this one, and this one. Okay. And now if I go to list actions, notice there is no action plan here like there was in leads. That's because we don't have, we're looking at accounts, and our accounts do not have the contacts, whereas where the action plans need to be associated. So I have to do another little step here. I selected my 3 companies, okay, and what I have to do now is view the contacts for those companies, which will then take me to the contacts module, and I have the 3 contacts. Now, if you have multiple contacts for a company, you can then go down and click against the ones you want. but I'm going to select these three. And then when I go to list actions, there is my action plan. All right. So I'm just trying to show you that you can change the status of something at the account level. Then you can view the contacts and apply the action plan. All right. So that's sometimes very helpful to know. So I'm going to quickly apply my action plan, and I will select my new customer follow-up action plan. It can start today, and I simply click save. And when I go to each of these now, bingo. And notice the dates are calculated out according to the number of days. So very quick and easy once you've developed the plan, very quick and easy to apply. And like I said, you can also apply them in an opportunity record or a projects record. All right, so now let's move on to business rules, or workflow automation as we now call it. A business rule or workflow automation is activated by a trigger. So a trigger would be the change in a field in a record would trigger either an email to be sent, an activity to be created, or an action plan to be applied. That is new, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a trigger in opportunities, and we're going to say that when we win an opportunity, when we change the stage in an opportunity to 1, that is going to trigger an email to be sent to our billing department to tell them that they need to create an invoice and send it out. Okay? You could also use it for if someone within your company creates all the quotes. If a salesperson gets to the quote stage or proposal stage, then that can trigger an email sent to that person who then knows they need to create a quotation and send it out. So again, I'm sure you're thinking of ways that can help you and to automatically notify someone of something to do. So we know what we want to do. Now we need to go create the steps. So now we're going to go to workflow automation. Previously, this said business rules. When you're going to send an email as your result of the trigger, then you have to first create the email template. So we want to create a new template. And you're going to give it a name. So I'm going to I'm just trying to give it a different name than what's already there. And the subject line of the email is, I'll just put in here time to. Okay. And then you pick what module the trigger is in. So in this case, it is in opportunities. And notice it can be in any of the modules. And it can be any field. It can be a ClaritySoft field. It can be a custom field that you've entered. So you build your rule, your workflow automation rule off of a filter that we'll be creating. So here now we're going to create our email, and we can say, hello billing. And again, you can make this as personal as you want. So here's where this is helpful. You're going to put in account name, and you are able to click on this button right here that says special fields when you point to it, and you can pull in the account name. just like you do in an email template that's a merge template. So you can put in the label for it, insert the field, and go on down here. And we want the opportunity name. Let's see, we would like the owner, which will be the sales rep person's name. We want the close date and the amount. So let's see. Oops. All right. And then we can say, okay, so we've created that, and then we save it. And then, since it already has a name up here, you just need to click Save. So we now have our template, okay? Then we go to the workflow processes, and we're going to create the rule that will trigger the template to be sent. So I'm going to create a new rule. I'm just going to put today here so I know I have a different name. And we pick the module again. It's being triggered from opportunities. There's your enable checkbox where you can turn these on and off. And then you have three things here: the rule criteria, the option that you want, and the action that should be taken. So rule criteria is first, and you are going to create the filter that says the stage, and then you pick the comparison. Now, what I usually do, I usually use contains rather than equal because it's a little looser, and I just know that my sales stage contains the word one, but it could be contract one or something like that. So if you put in what you know, it'll match it. Then the option here, now these are different options for when the triggers are to occur. The first one here is once, it occurs once when a new record is created which meets the rule criteria. So in this case, this is not going to work for what I want because it has to be a brand new record that meets the criteria when it's first created. So that won't work. Then we have once when a record is created or edited and did not previously meet the rule criteria. Well, that really is the one that we want because this opportunity's been created, it's been edited multiple times, but it's never met the criteria that I just set of the sales stage being containing the word one. So that's the one I want to use. Then you have other ones here, once for all existing records which meet the rule criteria. So that would mean all records that meet that rule criteria, it would trigger it once. And then this is a multiple when an existing record is edited which meets the rule criteria. So every time the record is edited and meets the rule criteria, it would trigger the email to be sent or an activity to be created or an action plan to be laid in, okay? And then this is multiple when a new record is created or an existing record is edited which meets the rule criteria. Again, this would happen multiple times. So usually the second one tends to be the one most commonly used, but again, you might need these, so you'll test them and see that they work. And then your action is, well, what am I going to do? And so this looks kind of like the activity thing, where you can choose here to send a notification, add an activity, or add an action plan. And like I said, this is new for those of you that maybe have used the workflow automation or business rules before. We didn't have this, so this is new within the last couple months. So we're sending a notification, okay? And then you click on this little down pointing arrow because you need to be able to pick the template that you want to send and to whom to send it. So here we are, we choose our template, and then we can send it to the contact person, the owner of the record. Escalation, I think, is something new that's not really 100% functional yet, or to a custom email address. So I'm going to send it to myself, and you would send it to your billing department person. If there's more than one, you can add a second email there, okay? And then you just need to scroll down. Now, it might yell at me because sometimes it tells me I have to pick a date field. Yep. So in this case, it doesn't really matter, but I just am going to click the close date. And you don't need to fill in this days after, anything like that. So just do this and click save. Okay, so now I have created my template and I've created my rule. And again, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to log out. And then I'm going to go to opportunities. I promise to remember which one I trigger. So let's say I have one here. Let's do this new big project one. So I'm going to open this one. And I'm going to change the sales stage to 1. So my sales stage now contains 1. And when I click either save or save and close, that will trigger the email to be sent. So if I do a save and close, and then I can come up here and go to my 1 this month, so it will, well, come on. Why is that not showing? Okay, we'll go back to all opportunities. So anyway, so that's there. And now somewhere here in the next few minutes, I should receive an email as the billing department person. There it is. I have to unbury it. Here we go. So here's the email was sent. There's the subject line that I typed in, and it pulled in all the information, the new spring company. It was called the New Big Project, the amount, and everything is there. So you can see now how that can make things easy for your sales team if they're having to notify someone of a new sale or a quote that needs to be developed or something that needs to be done. If you have a field, whether it's the sales stage field or some other custom field in your opportunity record that creates the trigger that automatically sends the email. We actually have this in our own ClaritySoft database when our accounting person processes a new customer. Then we have a trigger where we receive an email to say we have a new customer ready for onboarding, and that's our we get our notification, and then we send out our welcome email to you as you come on as a new customer. So it makes it easy. She doesn't have to do it every time. It just, she knows when she sets a certain setting in the opportunity record or the sale record, and it just triggers it and it's done. So I'm sure you can think of a lot of ways for this to be used in your database. All right. So I can probably just close this. So that's one business rule type or workflow automation that you can create. You also can create one that would trigger an activity. So for example, I'll go back to this opportunity one. And let's say that once the billing department has invoiced the customer and received payment, then the salesperson needs to be notified that the customer is now fully paid and needs to send out a welcome email to that person, okay? So we can create another business rule for that to occur. And what I did in my opportunity record is I created another sales stage called invoiced and paid, okay? So right now it's set to 1, and the person in the billing department will send the invoice, receive the payment, and then come back to here and change my stage to invoiced and paid. So I want to create a rule that will trigger an activity being created that will then show up for the person, or an email can be sent, or the email as the welcome email can be triggered to be sent directly to the customer. So again, you can choose how you want to do it. I just wanted to give you an example of creating one that triggers an activity to be done. So let's say, what do I have here? Whoops, let's say not notify, let's say activity to send. This is going to trigger out of opportunities again. Possibly if you're using the sales module, you could trigger it out of there. So it just depends on how your database is set up. So in the rule criteria, I'm going to use stage, and again contains, and I can just put either invoice or paid in here or some combination. That'll trigger it. The option is going to be the second option again, when the record is created or edited and did not previously meet the criteria, and it's going to do it only once, not multiple times. And then the action is to add an activity. And then you put in the activity type. Now this could be an email activity type or a task activity type, depending on how you want to think about it. And then you don't need to put any date in, because you don't want to fix it in a date, okay? You just leave this and it goes. Now, here's what you want to do though, because they're going to get this email or this activity and they have no clue what person it's for. So down here in the notes area, you want to put in those custom fields again and allow it to pull in the information about the customer. So it would be pulling in the account name, and here's the insert fields right here. And so you can do the same thing that you did for the billing one. So pull in the account, the contact. What would be nice is to pull in the person's email, so it's right there. And again, any other fields that you want to pull in, again, you might want to put in the opportunity name so they know which opportunity it's for. You will know what you need to pull in because all your fields are there, including your custom fields. So I'll just do that. That's good enough. And save it. Again, I have to select a date time field. Doesn't really matter. All right. So now we have here this new rule, send new customer welcome email. All right. And notice here when you don't put any kind of date in, it says immediate. So as soon as the trigger is triggered, then it will immediately send it. So again, I'm going to log out. Once you've built all these, obviously, it'll just start working when you're in the database. So now if we go back to opportunities, then we can choose our new spring. Okay, and if I open the record and I change my sales stage from 1 to invoiced and paid, click save and close. Then I should get an open activity under here. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for the activities to show up. So we'll clear this and then we'll research it and give it a chance to refresh itself. Hello. There it is. So now see the open activity that's there? There it is. Send welcome email to new customer. And if I open this in the notes, it tells me. Now it's also associated with the company already, but at least it's in the notes. So I could either send an email to the person, or I can create an activity, or if you want to truly automate it without, even the salesperson having to send the email, you could just create an email template that's your welcome email and have it go directly to the contact person for the account to welcome them. So it just depends on how automated you want it and how much control you want to maintain. So again, the person can send the email, and then when they've done it, they can mark it as being completed and the activity is done and off their to-do list. All right. So that's the last, that one. And then the last one that I could just talk about very quickly is you can create an action plan and then apply it with a business rule. So what we could do, let's see here if I've got something that's already built. Oh, I know what I have. I have an action plan here called Documents Test, where it creates 3 activities: send document A, send document B, send document C. Okay, I just was trying to think of something simple to do that would trigger these 3 activities being dropped in and gave them a day span in which to do it. So that is already here. And then the workflow process would be, again, I did it in opportunities where I created a stage in my opportunities about documents. And so right here, I have a business rule for it, or a workflow automation for send documents. And so the name of it is send documents. The rule criteria is that the stage contains document. The option is, and this one I did a multiple one because, well, this might not be the right one. It might be once, but then I have to test this one out. So I'm going to see, I did this one. And then the action, again, is you use the close date. I added an action plan. And then you click that little circle with the down pointing arrow, and you get to choose, well, what action plan do you want it to be? Okay. So I selected that one and then saved it. Now, because this is already set up, I don't think I have to log out and back in. So we should be able to go to opportunities and select, well, since we're here, we can do this one again. So if I change this to process documents, which would be before you win it, so, and then do a save and close. Again, I might need to give it a chance to refresh itself. Nope, hasn't come through yet. Oh, and seems to take a little bit longer. But anyway, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to go back to settings, and I'm going to have you think of another action plan. Think of it in a different way. I worked with a customer probably a year and a half ago that does events where she sets up the venue with tables, and she hires the wait staff and the bar staff and that sort of thing. And so she has a schedule that she follows where 30 days out from when the venue is scheduled, she has to do certain things, like within, 25 days out or 30 days out, she has to do this. Then 25 days out, she has to do that, so on and so forth. And it took us a while to figure out how to set this up using the action plans. But what we did here is we ended up thinking of the things she had to do and when they had to be done. So we're, in a sense, we were thinking backwards, because we had to think of, well, on the 30th day is the actual setup. On the first day of the plan, she's scheduling the cater, then the wait staff, and so on and so forth. So we figured it out and got it to work the way she wants. And then what happens is when she sets up a venue that, say, is scheduled for October the 15th, then when she applies the action plan, she applies the action plan and sets the start date for September the 15th. So the action plan doesn't kick in until September the 15th, which then gives her that 30 days. So you could think of that too. If you're in a business that maybe schedules events or does that sort of thing, that's another way to think of an action plan that can be applied. All right. So let me go back and see if my opportunities came in. It might be that I did not log out and log back in. And so sometimes that happens. No, There they are. Just takes a little bit for them to get there. So there are my 3 emails to send it. So again, I'm applying an action plan using the trigger of a business rule, which is a new creative way. All right, I don't see any questions, and I'm done. I'm actually going to get you out of here on time today, which is kind of a miracle. So we'll go here. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for attending and paying attention. Hopefully you've learned some good things and gotten some ideas to think about with action plans and workflow automation. If you need help with any of this or have any questions on it while you're working on it, if you are working with Linda or myself, you can contact us. If you are out of Quick Start, and you can then contact our tech support team at 888-838-7487 extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com, and they will be happy to help you. And then again, future topics, things that you'd like to see us cover, please send us an email at info@claritysoft.com, and we will try to add those. I'm creating my new schedule for September, so get those ideas in the next day or two, and we'll try to accommodate them. All right, I will let you go. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will talk to you, hopefully, during the next webinar.